For the fourth time in 5 splits, CLG Counterlogic Gaming finishes in the quarterfinals, the first round of the NALCS playoffs. And for 3 of those 4 times, it's been at the hands of a clean sweep by the opponents. And we find ourselves right back again in some kind of Sisyphean Groundhog's Day kind scenario where the same things happen and the same things play out the same way, and the same things are said by the players beforehand and then afterwards, the same apologies and promises things will be different, and everyone's ready to get on the carousel and go all the way around the potential fucking circus again, I guess. And so we're in this world again where, oh, look, double lift, oh, there's issues. Is he the best in his region? It's no longer clear. He had moments when he was. Now we feel like he isn't because he ends in an underwhelming manner in the playoffs. Afromu, again, seems to get stronger as the seasons go on. Then at the very end, there's a little dip, and in the playoffs, we get nothing. Link is on and off during the season. He has the moments that make you think he's getting it together, and then he never appears in the playoffs. There's the jungler issues yet again, as there's been even before LCS, back to the St. Vicious era. Top lane issues yet again. Top lane is a liability, and what role does it play within the team, and does it need to have different champions? All the same problems. They've changed. Here's the issue though: the same problems, and yet they've made changes every split. They've changed players, but they have the same issues. Who is the carry in CLG? Do you know who the carry is? I don't. It's supposed to be Doublelift, right? He's the star. No, not really. Look at these series where they're going out in the first round. He's not the star. Okay, is it Link? Well, at times in the regular season is, never in the playoffs. Oh, maybe it can be Zion Spartan. Maybe it can be the top lane who's the carry. Fat chance of that. This is CLG. Same problems with pick and ban. Every single time these teams go out, it's like, oh yeah, we lost the pick and ban phase. Why is that? Why does everyone win the pick and ban phase against you? Why is this? Obviously, oh yeah, but they've gotten the champions that we didn't want, and we didn't really practice those ones. Like, are you fucking kidding me right now? You spend the whole season building up these champion pools. Either you're incapable of doing so you're incompetent as players, or you're incompetent at knowing how to do the pick ban phase. So is that you? Is it the coach? All these other questions come up. Same problems with shot calling again. Who is the shot caller who makes the decisive call in CLG? I've never managed to get to the bottom of it myself. They tell us, oh, Link does some of the shot calling a lot of time, and then Afromu sometimes comes in with some shot call. Okay, but who does the shot call when it's the important moment and someone has to make a decisive call that we're going to act on now and win the game off? Who is that? Not only does no one say, oh, well, this guy's it and he just did a bad decision. It's like people withdraw. Like, it's like that thing of like, step forwards if you're the one who's the decisive shot caller, and then everyone in CLG takes a step backwards. Like, one of them. It wasn't me. I wouldn't do something like that. Shot call, you know. Don't want to be. I plead the fifth. I can't tell you who the shot caller is. Like, what the fuck is this? Every other team. Listen, if High makes a bad call and they lose the game, okay, people can criticize him and say, oh, it's a terrible call, whatever. But at least we know who made the call. We know the point at which we can look and say, okay, now let's look at the decision making. We can't ever do that with CLG. The same fucking problems with not having any dog in them, not having any fight when they're in the tough situation, not having any heart to actually battle back and prove like, hey, I'm a competitor, and you know what, even if you're better than me right now, even if I fucked up the pick ban phase, even if this lane's gone badly, I'm not giving up now. I'm going to fight all the way till the end. I'm going to battle. I'm going to prove that I'm a good player. There's none of that shit. They just roll over and die, get wrecked, completely steamrollered, the fucking pancake flat at the end. There's all the same excuses are trotted out and apologies. Oh, I'm really sorry, guys. And honest, it'll be better next time. Like, who gives a fuck at this point in time? Shut up. Are you a fucking competitor? Are you here to win? Are you here to at least prove that you're a capable player, that you're a competitor, that you can actually be someone in this game? Or is it just here to hope that, oh, fingers crossed that things go really well, guys. Hope it's going to be better next year. Next year's a golden age. Like, I'm sick and tired of this bullshit. And then who is the emotional leader of CLG? Speaking of heart, dog, fight, who is the emotional leader? No, I'm talking about the shot caller in game. Who is the guy where he's the guy before the game where his words count in the locker room? There's a famous thing, okay, where sometimes the guy who's like the hype man and goes on like, hey, everyone, let's get going, let's fight. That's often just a guy who's really friendly with the players in a sports team, okay? But there's the guy where he doesn't usually speak. And when he speaks, because he doesn't normally speak, his words carry weight. And everyone looks over and he says like, listen, we don't let them take it from our house where it's on home court. Well, whatever his phrase is, you know, the saying, that's where the epic movie speech comes from that rouses you, because it hasn't just been wasted. It's not meaningless words that everyone knows that when this guy speaks, I respect that guy. I can follow that guy into battle. Like, who is the Maximus of fucking CLG, to use like the gladiator analogy? There is none. There's nobody on the entire team who has even this force of character, this spirit where you go, wow, he's a guy who I could follow and go into battle with and know he has my back and he's going to fight his best and I'll do my best. And no, it's all these people who shrink back and they just go, back into, I wish things went better. And listen, don't blame all my teammates and stuff. Like, it's the same shit every single fucking season, guys. So, okay, it's the playoffs. When you look at all their past playoff failures, one of the great ways to change not only a specific position, but the culture of your team, and that's the key word there, culture, because the cultures develop around teams. So in basketball, we always talk about a defensive culture. You have teams that they have great players. I think of like the old school Nuggets that used to have Carmelo Anthony on them, okay? They had all these great offensive players and they had a really deep bench, but they didn't have a defensive culture. As in, even from Carmelo Anthony downwards, people just would give up on defense or they'd play lazy defense to save their energy for the offensive end. So instead, you get a team like the Boston Celtics when Kevin Garnett came there and Paul Pierce was there and Ray Allen, and they had this mentality of like, we do everything on defense. Like we're putting all our effort into defense. We're going to shut them down, and then we're going to trust that we have the talent and the scheme to be able to score offensively. And when you do that, you turn it around so it's not even just your stars now who are doing it, but because your stars are doing it and because you're emphasizing this culture of this is who we are, this is our identity and the strengths that we're going to emphasize, it gets everyone to buy in. Even the role players, the guys who play 2 minutes off the bench, they're buying into the idea that like, okay, this is what we are as a team. We're a defensive-minded team. CLG's not only never recruited the right players, they've never recruited players that could change the culture. Every player comes to CLG, and regardless of who they were before, they become a CLG player. They become, even if they were a player before who was skilled, who was brazen, who had his own qualities, who had a certain they come to CLG and they become these meek sort of guys who shy and they break under pressure and they have the same excuses and the same storylines and this player on my team's really good and yeah, this season it's different. We really listen to the coach now and he's got these great ideas and things have really turned around. You know, we trust in each other. It's all this, they all get inculcated to the same CLG cult of this fucking counter logic bullshit. So who is the emotional leader? There isn't one. When you're talking about recruiting talent, these should be the areas you're looking for players in. Players who are really good under pressure. That's a great quality to have in a player, right? Players who can shot call decisively, willing to take the responsibility. That's a great kind of player to recruit, right? Players who are emotional leaders. Players who you can follow and you can know, I can trust in this guy. Players who are successful, who've been there, who've done it, who the rest of the other players who have nerves and problems can go, hey, I know this guy knows what he's doing, so I'll follow his lead. And if he tells me something, I can trust that even if I'm second guessing myself, he knows what's going on. They never recruit these types of fucking players. It's never these players. So let's look at the talent they did recruit and see how even these good players became CLG players. So previously, Zion Spartan is someone who's been to the finals of an LCS split. He's been further than anyone else in this entire team of CLG. In the first split, LCS Spring 2013, he went to the final with Good Game University. Later to become Coast. Admittedly, a bit of a fluke one-off Cinderella playoff run, but he went to the final. He was one game from winning the final against TSM, the best team in North American history at that point in time. Who is Zion Spartan when you think of him outside of CLG? Well, famously, he's a guy who stuck an elo hell, remember. He was the split push monster. His whole style is like, give me carry champions, let me split push, no, let me get a blue sometimes, let me just give me ganks, and I can carry the game. I won't do it every time. Maybe it's only 1 in 4, 1 in 5 games, but I will carry some games individually myself. Put me on Jax, put me on Aurelia, I'll carry these games. Bring him over to CLG, and who is this guy now? It's not the same guy we saw before. It's not this bold guy who's going to relieve pressure from the bot lane and then double lifting all those guys, won't have people diving them all day long, which was their complaint before, that was their life before. Now this guy relieving pressure with split pushing and with being a carry threat and being a potential. Then you come into CLG, come to the playoffs, nothing, just absolutely nothing, just getting wrecked all over the place, playing champions that looks like, well, is this even a good champion for him? You couldn't tell if you'd only watched the playoffs. I know some of those are good champions. I'm seeing solo queue and seeing him in the actual regular season. These are champions he should be able to succeed on. So why isn't he? Do we just blame the jungler again? Do we blame the shot calling? Do we blame the overall culture of the team, the confidence, the mindset that they have, or even understanding the hierarchy of who is the leader, who is the shot caller, who is the carry? Do they even know these things? I'd wager they don't. So let's go to another player, Xmithy. Xmithy's a player who's been as far as any of the other players in CLG. He's been to the semi-finals of an NA work before when he was back with Vulcan. And he used to be this strong mechanical jungler who worked really well with his mid laner and got him kills and got him ahead and snowballed the game. Now what happens when he comes into CLG? How do they make him into a CLG player? Suddenly he's playing fucking Vi and Sejuani and he's missing everything. He's fucking up all the ults and he's not doing a good job with his mid laner. And he's like okay at times around the map, but he's certainly not any kind of standout jungler. It's like you've taken this guy whose main strength is mechanics and said, right, fuck the mechanics, lad, just do shit that doesn't have any mechanics. Like, what would the point of that be? Again, when you have these talents and we know their strengths, they have flaws, but at least they have talent and strengths. Why are we not playing to their strengths ever? Why do we always make them into the same shit that CLG's always had? Lackluster junglers and top laners that tend to get their heads fucking caved in and don't take pressure off the map. This is the same shit over and over again, and it's not the fault of these players. This team is making them into these CLG players. So let's talk about other players. Doublelift. This is the thing I made a point about with Doublelift in my video about assessing his career. At this point in time, we have to accept that one of these two scenarios is the case. Either he doesn't carry enough and can't impose himself on the game, as in he's just not good enough. Like, we have a mirage of how good he can be, and he's just not that good. Or he doesn't demand the resources needed to do that. It's one of the two. Either he is incompetent, or he's unwilling to demand and take that responsibility. And that's the reason I use that word, responsibility. If you're really that good, and you're capable of this, and capable of carrying it, then fuck it. Even if you're going to lose, at least lose so that you would go out on your shield, on your strengths, and you give it some fight. You don't just get your fucking head panned in completely, like we've seen a million times over now. Last time it was fucking Cop caning your head in. Then, in previous times, Wild Turtle. Now it's Piglet, who wasn't even having a good split until now. And could barely even speak the same fucking language as a support player. So the Doublelift situation still remains a problem. The one thing that should be a positive about CLG is even when everything else goes to shit, they should at least historically have been able to say, right, well, we've still got a star AD carry and he's really good and he played really well and we have to figure out now how we're going to build a team around him. No, we're still back at square one of, is he even the star player? Does he want to play like the star player? Does he accept the responsibility and the role of the star player? All that like, we win as a team, we lose as a team, we're all equal parts. That's for the fucking birds. Think of any all-time great League of Legends team. I'm talking about ones that have won world championships and OGNs, and you can immediately identify the star players. Samsung Blue, Dade and Deft, they're the star players. Heart isn't the fucking star player. Acorn isn't the star player. These are good players who have to do their parts, but we know the hierarchy of the star players. You go through all these teams, SK Telecom, Faker, Piglet. We're not looking at Impact like you're the star player, Bengi's the star. No, it's none of that bullshit. That's some excuse that people give when they lose, I notice. They're very happy about dispersing responsibility when they lose, because then they don't have to take responsibility for failing in their role as the star. If you're the star, take responsibility for that. Otherwise, get the fuck out and let's have some... If you don't want to be the star, great. Well, let's get someone who just loves to play even at AD carry, and we'll have a star at the mid lane or top lane then. It has to be one or the other. It can't just be neither. The support player, Afromu. Now, this is going to sound strange. Why would you go in an Afromu? He's a great guy. Seems like he has a really good mindset compared to some of the other players. Tries really hard. The problem with Afromu is all those qualities and his individual play on solo queue in the regular season have created this ridiculous mirage about who he is as a player. I've watched him play these solo queue games. His skills look fucking phenomenal. He looks really talented mechanically and in terms of intuitive timing and when to do skill shots and reading the game, looks awesome. Then you see him in regular season games. He's fucking dominating. He's the reason they win. He's the X factor. If they don't get him on the right champions and they don't put the right comp around him, he can't win the game for them. If they get him on the right things, he wins the whole fucking game for them. Guys, looks amazing. In the regular season, I've never had a problem saying this guy, hey, maybe he is the best support in NA. But every time it gets to the playoffs, I mean every time, go back in history and look, he shrinks in the playoffs. Now, he doesn't go down to shit. He's not like he does what Link does or often whatever their jungler does. But he has repeatedly had a drop-off. If I had to quantify it, I'd say he drops off like 30% in the playoffs. So that really good player becomes just a good player, sometimes on middling to average, depending on who he's playing against. And then when you're putting him against X Special, who's the guy who's really good in the regular season, consistent in the regular season, and then always raises his level in the playoffs, well, now it's fucking game over, isn't it? Well, the one major strength you did have in the regular season isn't even there anymore when you get to the playoffs. So Afromu, never as good in the playoffs. And people who deny that, just go look at fucking history. It's happened all these times now. Then you go and look at Link. Now listen, people go in on Link every time. We've established all this shit before. I did a video about this like 5 months ago. The exact same problems exist for him. He is on and off in terms of carrying, even in the regular season. It's not like he beasts the whole regular season and then just fails in the playoffs. No, he'll have games in the regular season where you're like, well, what the fuck was going on there? Like, what was he doing? Where was the shot calling? What was he doing individually? But it's just the difference is that's always the story in the playoffs. In the playoffs, he's always crap in the bed like that. He's always just getting his head kicked in. It doesn't matter who he's facing. Line them up, man. Reginald, fucking Voyboy. These aren't even gods of mid lane who are caning his head in. This time around, Phoenix. Who the fuck is Phoenix? Phoenix was having a terrible season. He was one of the main reasons why Liquid were playing so poorly during the season. And now he gets to look like a fucking superstar in the playoffs. Not because he's got some magical boost to his level. I doubt he's going to be some god in the region now. Because one of the reasons is he was playing against someone who just did nothing again in the game, who wasn't vaguely a carry threat. So Lig always goes MIA. We know about that. I mean, I'm not as disappointed about that because I expect that at this point in time. Somehow, doesn't matter who the jungler is for CLG, they always end up just going MIA. They make weird plays. Here's the thing. The reason why it's great to have junglers as shot callers is because then the jungler can have confidence in himself as to where to go, what to play, how to initiate. He can be the one who triggers things. Instead, CLG never has a shot calling jungler, and so the jungler is always feeling like kind of out of place. And is he going in too early? Is he coming too late? Is he done like a weird build? Was his timing off for when they were supposed to group and do dragon? It's never there in CLG. I think part of that, I don't just blame all the different junglers they've had. I blame the shot calling aspect. The jungler isn't getting the information he needs, isn't getting the calls he needs that he can follow. Either he makes the call and you follow up on him, or you make a call and he just follows it up and can trust that I can always follow that call and I'm not going to get fucked and just left out there to get wrecked. CLG junglers can't figure that out. Top lane's mediocre at best again. This time we've literally got the top laner you want for CLG. All those complaints about CLG like, our life. This is like a double lift impression. He obviously doesn't sound anything like this. Yeah, getting camped in bot lane. That's like my whole life, man. Yeah, my whole life's just everyone just fucking diving me bot lane. Jungler's always bot lane. Great. Well, you know what I'll give you? I'll give you a player who loves to play carry top lane champion. So he's a carry threat potential there. Has to be dealt with because he loves to split push. That's his main thing, split pushing. And you guys have problems with team fighting, right? Well, let's just have this guy split push all day long and you win 2v2 mid. Oh, what? What's that? Didn't work whatsoever. We're not relieving any fucking pressure. They still kick the shit out of the bot lane. Oh, well, I guess that's that fucking ruined then. I mean, what is it? Do you think these players all just magically get no skill when they put on the CLG jersey? Is the CLG jersey made out of the fucking hair of that Haitian guy out of Heroes, and it takes away the magic powers of all these players when they come to CLG? Is that the problem here? Or does CLG create these players and mould them into these guys who are lacking in decisive qualities, who don't even seem to have confidence in themselves or their own picks and pick this weird shit, and who don't ever play up to the level they play at outside of CLG? It's different in the Xmithy case. Yeah, he'd had a while where he hadn't been very good when he'd been off in the challenges, etc. I don't expect great things of him. But Zion Spartan played better than this when he was in Dig. He played better than this when he was in Coast. Why is he playing worse when he's in CLG? Do they limit him? Do they allow him to be himself? Do they tell him, hey, you're a star signing, you're a carry player, we've brought you in to relieve the pressure, this is your responsibility? No, you get the sense these conversations never happened. Or if they did, no one was listening. So there's all the players. Now let's look at the coaching. First of all, I've said in the past, okay, I once made a joke that had a grain of truth to it, that the most uncoachable team in League of Legends was actually the previous Fnatic lineup from last year, the one with Soaz and Xpeke. And the reason it was the most uncoachable lineup was because those players are brilliant, but in such a uniquely expressed way that you almost can't force them to do anything. Because not only do they not need to, they can do things the wrong way, they can break the rules and still win. But also, they don't seem to thrive when they're put into this situation of like, play this champion that's a meta champion and play in this specific way. They need to be freeform and cavalier and do what they want. Now, in a general sense, yes, that makes them totally uncoachable. Actually, CLG is the most uncoachable team ever. You know why I say that? Because they've had multiple different coaches and different people in analyst roles and all this, and it's having no effect. It has an effect during the regular season, and then it never does one in the playoffs. It's the same shit all over again in the playoffs. And that's why you can't just blame Monte Cristo, you can't just blame Scar, you can't just blame these people. It doesn't matter who you can lead a horse to water. You can't like force it to drink. We all know that old saying. Well, it's the same with fucking CLG. So they seem uncoachable, quite frankly. In fact, if I had to address CLG from watching, one of the things I like to do is I like to watch interviews, and I don't watch just to listen to what the guy's saying and think, oh, well, that must be true if he said it. I watch it and I try to figure out, why would he say that? What's the motivation going on? What's going on behind his eyes as he hears that question, thinks about it, compares to what he knows and how he wants to come off, and then why does he make that decision to say things a certain way? And what I've noticed with CLG is this pattern. When everything goes to shit, They're always like, oh, don't blame anyone. We just got outskilled. Congrats to the better team. We did badly. Next season it'll be better. We're going to practice a lot harder. This time we're really serious. Changes will be made. Like, we're going to fix the coaching stuff. We're going to listen to our coach. We're going to trust our teammates. Then what it feels like is when they hit rock bottom like that, then they feel like, oh, now we're open. Yeah, now we're open to coaching and we'll do what you say, coach, and we do all this. And so for the first few periods, while they're open like that, things are going really well. They're starting to go well. Then once they start to go well to a certain degree, they get stuck in this mindset of like, right, well, now we're good again. And now things are going the right way and we're sticking with this. And then when things start to go to shit, it feels like they always go away from whatever the plan was. They always go away from whatever the coaching was. They revert to these old tendencies. That's why I always say in esports, if you want to scout someone, don't scout a specific thing he did, like, oh, he just played this one champion and he always did this. What you scout is, what are his tendencies? If you put him into this type of a situation again and again, what is his natural instinct to do? Does he back off in that sense? Will he go harm and chase something in that sense? Watch his tendencies, his natural impulses, what he is for himself, to himself, and you know who this person is and how to predict what they will do and how to push them and to manipulate them to do the things that you want them to do. That's how people control human behavior on the whole. That's how you destroy an enemy completely. You make it so that you create circumstances where what he actually wants to do naturally as a reaction is what you've planned for and what you wanted him to do anyway, and you guide him into your trap. That's what people, I don't know if they do it, could do against CLG all day because they always revert back to these same problems. In terms of that, also, just as a quick shot out there, all the people who shit on Monte Cristo, like, it's obviously his fault that CLG went to shit, and look at the results. Oh, yeah, you can't argue with that. He's bad, isn't he? Well, the same shit's happened with Scar, if not worse now. At least Monty had the split where they fucking came top 3. This is even worse. Now, I'm not saying to blame Scar, it's all his fault and the rest of it, because I think there's more at play here. Some of the players just clearly don't work in this lineup, and some of them, it just seems like coaching just is, they're impervious to it. It bounces off them like fucking bullets off Superman or something. But to use the same analogy, you know when those fucking goons turn up and fire like Tommy guns at Superman, and you're thinking like, this is just stupid, like, you know bullets don't work on Superman. Yeah, but except that's what you guys keep trying here. You keep trying to fucking use the same sort of coaching on Superman and go, oh, why doesn't it work on CLG? It's only failed 50 times and they seem like they're totally impervious to it. But what? Oh, I know, it's the coach's fault. We need a new sort of Tommy gun. Like, problem there is you had like the, I don't know the brands of guns. You had brand X of Tommy gun. If you had brand Y, that'd probably get through his bulletproof skin. Like, are you fucking kidding me, man? So get some players who are coachable. Yeah, there's another thing you could recruit. A player who's coachable. Fuck me, that'd be amazing, eh? So let's talk about, shot calling also. This whole thing of them dispersing responsibility and splitting it up and then never having a decisive guy, that is an unacceptable compromise because it's now been proven, not once, not twice, not 3 times, every time that it doesn't work. That approach does not work. Yeah, but if we had more than one shot call, that'd be even better because he could call in this situation, he could call in that situation. Yeah, but what about if they got into a really bad situation and neither felt comfortable making the call and then nobody called whatsoever? No, don't worry, that'll never happen. Hasn't that happened all the previous times? Yeah, but I don't like to learn from my mistakes. I like to do the same thing over and over again. I'm not mad. I'm not certifiably mad. Like, what the fuck's going on here, CLG? Rapid Start, when he analysed the CLG versus Liquid games, made this comment, right, where he said, CLG needs a decisive player who knows exactly what to do in the given situation. Now, on one hand, you want to go like, thanks, Captain Obvious Rapid Star. But he's right. That's exactly what the number one recruiting quality should be for CLG. Not skill, not mechanical skill, not what he's done in the past. We just want someone who's a decisive player who knows exactly what to do. Except I wouldn't say in a given situation. I wouldn't make it as generic as that. Just knows exactly what to do for his team and his team's strengths in that situation. Let's talk about recruiting, because here's a way to fix things. CLG could have had Xpecial. Xpecial was kicked out of TSM. Remember the whole reason why we couldn't have that godlike bot lane we always wanted? Xpecial and Doublelift, the one that was at the All-Stars in Season 3. The reason we could never have it is because Xpecial played for a way better team that there was no point ever leaving to go to fucking CLG who got out in the quarterfinals. Why would he ever leave TSM? He's a great player. Stay in TSM. Let them recruit players to you, mate. So that's what he did. Finally, he's getting kicked out of TSM. He can't play in TSM anymore. Look around the league. Well, he's not going to C9. We know that. So all the rest of the teams, actually CLG should be a leader. Now, why didn't they get Xpecial? Now, aside from the fact that it might not have actually been possible behind the scenes, I don't know the details of that. Maybe he didn't want to go. Maybe TSM wouldn't let him go to CLG. Regardless of that, there's another reason why he wouldn't have. And I do know this, which is CLG was super happy with Afro Move. Now we don't need it. Who needs a special? We've got Afro Move. Oh, that guy who does the same shit every fucking split, who's really good in this regular season. Wow, he's better than X-Special, isn't he? Come to the playoffs. Oh no, that's right. Yeah, he's way worse than X-Special, actually. X-Special always thrives here, wins, and that's why he's a fucking guy who's never failed to make the top 4 of every single LCS split. I mean, how can you even argue with that? That is decisive player, meta-resistant, clutch under pressure, proven successful player, partners with every good ADC, and this isn't the guy you just offered everything to, like, please, here's a blank check, just come and join our team, you can fix everything. No, we didn't get him. Jungler. Again, we've got these junglers. We've had fucking Big Fat LP as a jungler. Then we had, let me think. Yeah, that was during the Chauster era. We had Chauster initially, who was a theory going to be the shot caller, and then obviously we had Dexter, who seemed to have his issues when the shot calling went to shit. As soon as Link went to shit, that's when Dexter went to shit. It wasn't Dexter went to shit. Link went to shit, and then Dexter went to shit in comparison. It's like there was a link between those two players, no pun intended. Then you go now to Xmithy, and Xmithy falls apart at the same time CLG and Link fall apart. He was never great during the season, but he was pretty decent. And then he goes to shit the same exact period. Here's a crazy idea, CLG. Recruit a jungler who's decisive and likes to make shot calls. Who could that be? Oh, that's right. There was a guy playing in fucking Challenger for a whole year. His name's Saint Vicious. Yeah, but Saint Vicious misses all the smites. He's not even good mechanically. Yeah, but we're not about mechanical skill here, mate. We need a decisive player who knows what to do in a given situation. Here's a proven shot caller who's entirely confident. He's even played with some of the players before. He's got a history of going pretty decently into playoffs and all the rest of scenarios. At least he's confident in himself. He'll make the bad shot call where you'll make no shot call. I give that as an extreme example, but that's just to show that they never go in that direction even to get these sorts of players that could be the right sort of jungler for them. Then we go to the top lane. After trying all these different types of top lane, here's a crazy idea for you. How about just get a fucking stable top laner who carries occasionally but is just really stable and can just play really awesome stably? Let's think of some of the players that have been available that have gone to teams as good or worse than CLG, who they could have had but they never got. Quaz. Now you're thinking to yourself, no, but Quaz went to Curse and they got him. Yeah, Quaz was scouted from fucking solo queue at the same time when CLG was going and getting fucking Seraph. Why is CLG never on top of getting these guys out of solo queue? Oh, that's right, because their owner's the one who every single year tells us how there's no talent in solo queue, and then all the talent comes up in CLG, beats him, goes past him, overtakes his players, and his players, who are all the proven ones, fucking shit the bed every time. There's something, here's the thing, it's not even CLG players who are at fault here. It's a systemic thing throughout the organization where it's it's rotten throughout the whole barrel of apples. It's not one apple that he throws in that's rotten. The whole barrel's up rotten, and the fucking barrel itself is rotting and is all decayed and it's got all damp in it. The whole thing is fucked. So you don't ever recruit a player like Quaz, upcoming player. And remember, he doesn't need to carry. He doesn't even carry super hard in Liquid almost. He just has to be stable and he can play all these different champions. And he plays well within the team concepts. Seems to have a coachable attitude. Why not play like him? No chance. Impact comes, a world champion comes to North America. Nah, we don't want him. He doesn't speak English. Well, what help did it have having Zartan speak English? What the fuck did that help you with this split? How was that helping in any sense? I'd rather have a guy who can't speak English, I'm sure he can speak a minor amount, who just fucking does well in the game. At some point, doing well in the game has to be an emphasis right here, guys. Not that they're technically, mechanically good and can speak English. Well, congrats, here's a fucking medal for that. Oh, you don't get to go forward in the playoffs, but you can speak English and you're mechanically good. Why not Impact? Why was that never even an option? Never was. Of course not. Let's get Zion Spartan. That worked out so well in Dig. What about Wicked? Wicked gets kicked out of Elements. Wicked's a really forceful player who's going to try and carry, who has the champions he wants to play, who's going to relieve pressure definitely from the fucking bot lane. If we know one thing about Wicked, it's that he's going to definitely relieve pressure. You want that, right? Nah, forget about that. It's not even an option. Kevin wasn't even on the fucking team for half the split. Was he never an option? I know in the past, they might have had a chance to get him if the Zora Zero him, if he'd have lost that battle in that off season. But okay, why not Kevin when he doesn't have a team? Again, just plays stable. It doesn't even have to go ham. This will sound like a joke, but just to give you an extreme example, if it really was the case, it wasn't just interview bullshit, that Doublelift all this times wanted some sort of top laner who would constantly relieve pressure, allow him to go to work, then he can get his carry champions just in lane, dominate the lane, and then they're going to win that way. You'll think this is a joke, but they should have recruited Darian. Darian doesn't speak a lick of fucking English. Well, he speaks a little bit. You know what I mean? He can't really communicate. But he's going to go ham like a fucking idiot and just go pressure all the time and constantly draw their jungler up. Meanwhile, you're just bashing him in at lower, down here. And who gives a fuck about Darian? Don't even have your jungler go help him. Let him feed. Have your jungler come bottom and make it a 3v2. And pile driver their fucking lane through a table off the top of the fucking cage. I don't even know what's in the cage. What is it? Hell in a Cell or some shit from WWE way back. So anyway, there's the point, is that they never recruit the types of players they want. Decisive players, shot callers, proven successful players, clutch players under pressure, players who are coachable. They never recruit any of these players. It's a systemic problem. It's not the fault of Link. It's not the fault of Doublelift. It's not the fault of Skara. It's not the fault of the pick ban phase. How many fucking games? At the end of the day, if for 90% of your LCS career you were just sat back like, yeah, of course we lost that game in the pick ban phase, you should probably fucking improve the pick ban phase then, mate. I'd make that a priority. Like, what the fuck's this? Imagine their parents talking like, son, how did playoffs go? Yeah, it didn't go well, mama. Out in the quarterfinals again. Oh, right. What happened? Did you have a bad day? Did you play a really good player who outplayed you? No. What happened, mum? It's on the screen where I click on the champion that I want to pick. I picked all the wrong ones and then they picked all the right ones. Oh, all right. Why is that? Is that something about the game that I don't understand? Is there only like a few champions available? No, there's like 110 or something, but I always pick the wrong ones and they pick the right ones. Oh, okay. Are you gonna focus on that next season? Yeah. Next season will be different. Hotshot knows everything that's wrong and it's a golden age coming. See you, sweetie. Love ya. Here's the fucking wooden spoon, participation medal. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's a systemic problem in CLG, and it starts with the owner, and then it goes down through every player. Owner, coach, players. I don't even know who's below the players. Fans. I guess I can't really blame the CLG fans for CLG being shit. Okay, fair play. I don't blame them. Anyway, speaking of fantasy, like imagining CLG would ever get together, Link would be a carry threat, that they'd have a top player who's able to relieve pressure, jungler that makes decisive moves, good shot caller, emotional, fortitude. Speaking of fantasy in League of Legends, would you like to play fantasy League of Legends, a bit like CLG fans do every season? Then why don't you play at Vulcan.com? If you want. If you don't want, don't. I don't care. But if you do want to play fantasy League of Legends, I'd recommend Vulcan. That's wrong. VULCUN.com. Use the code Thorin with 3 O's, THOOORIN, and they will match your initial deposit by 100% up to $1,000. So you could win, well, you get the $1,000 to play with if you put in 1,000, but you can win money here by picking the right players and making a team, like pick who your carriers and then who go around it using a salary cap, sort of like see if you can do better than Hotshot does every split. Probably can. And if you win any money, boo, you're already ahead of him out of four out of the 5 splits. Anyway, Vulcan.com. Cheers, guys.